Norway is a small country with a population of only 5 million people, and yet there are two Norwegians dominating the Premier League in their own ways that have made many within the football community turn their heads. Considering the extreme hype regarding Erling Haaland's transfer to Man City in the summer, few had expected him to end up in the shadow of his fellow Norwegian, Martin Ødegaard, the captain of Arsenal. And even with all those goal-scoring records collected, the doubt about Haaland's contribution to the City team has already started. So we're going to be discussing their performance in today's episode. Also, if you could only have to choose one of these two Norwegians on your favorite team, who would you guys pick? Let us know in the comment section down below. Their road to the Premier League. Arsenal have surprised everybody with their great start to the season in the Premier League, and not only do they look mentally solid in different ways than previous Arsenal sides, they also play great attacking football with flair. And most of Arsenal's attacks go through the team's captain, Martin Ødegaard. And of course, it doesn't hurt them either that maybe their biggest competitor for the title, Manchester City, has struggled to maintain stable performances. City has actually won 4 out of the last 5 Premier League titles, and with their new super striker in place, they're set to win everything this season, including the Champions League. So how exactly has Arsenal and Ødegaard outperformed City and Haaland for the season, and can they even maintain this form? Don't miss out, as we're going to analyze all of this later in the video. These two superstars have always been talented, but with a different path to the Premier League, where they're now competing for the title. Martin Ødegaard has been well known for years, and was already making his professional debut at just 15 years old in the Norwegian Top Division. Not only did he get to play, he dominated the Norwegian League. I'm not sure we've ever seen such a young player terrorize many older opponents in that way, and even for the team that has just won the Norwegian League the year before. This, of course, ended up leading Ødegaard being watched by the biggest clubs in Europe. And when he finally moved from Strømsgodset in Norway, he moved to maybe the biggest club of them all, Real Madrid in Spain. There was a lot of hype regarding this transfer, and no wonder. Ødegaard trained with the senior team and also played for the reserves, Real Madrid Castilla, which was managed by none other than Zidane at the time. However, only 4 months after the transfer, Ødegaard got his Real Madrid debut and a substitute for none other than Cristiano Ronaldo. He then became the youngest debutant in the history of the club at 16 years old and 157 days. Even though his road to Madrid was impressive, it was almost impossible for young players to gain any playing time for Los Blancos in the years that Ødegaard was there. No wonder Real Madrid had decided to loan him out in 2017. And for the next 3 years, Ødegaard had spent his time out on loan. He performed for great teams like Vitesse, Heerenveen, and Real Sociedad. But finally, in 2020, he was recalled to join Real Madrid, and everyone thought that he was going to be a key player for that role. But with a midfielder trio of Casemiro, Toni Kroos, and Luka Modric, Ødegaard really never established himself in the Spanish capital, and only 6 months later, he was loaned out yet again. This time, though, he ended up going to Arsenal, where Ødegaard himself said that manager Mikel Arteta had played a key role in him choosing their team. Another loan spell that turned out great for the Norwegian had ended up securing him a permanent move to the Gunners in 2021. And when both club captains Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Alexandre Lacazette had departed from London, the Norwegian was made club captain last summer. Arteta has finally found his man, and even though he doesn't seem like the most natural captain at first, he still has shown great leadership. Also, the Norwegian national team's already made him the captain the year before. For his national team, Ødegaard is captain for his friend and rival Erling Haaland, and the big Norwegian striker has had a lot of eyes on him early, being the son of former Manchester City player Alfie Haaland. Already at the age of 16, he's got his debut in the Norwegian Top Division by none other than the former Manchester United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Molde. The talent was indisputable, and when a 17-year-old Haaland had scored 4 goals against the top team Brand anyway, the media had started to paint a picture of Europe's future star striker. He moved on to Red Bull Salzburg in Austria in 2019 and had entered the European football's biggest stage with a hat trick at the Champions League debut. Not bad for a first start. Haaland continued to write his name in the history books and there were goals against Liverpool, Napoli, as well as the Belgian club Genk. By basically scoring in pretty much every single game that he played, German giants Dolman brought Haaland only 1 year after his move to Austria, and he became an instant success at Dortmund. And of course, he only needed 23 minutes as a substitute in debut to be able to clinch his first hat trick for the club. He also continued his goal-scoring feast in the Champions League, and in 2020 became the first Norwegian ever to win the Golden Boy Award. After 62 goals in 67 matches in the Bundesliga, Haaland was ready for bigger tasks, and even big clubs in Europe wanted the striker. However, Haaland chose the same team as his father did earlier and had signed for Manchester City last summer, stating that he's always been a City fan. In his presentation photos, he even replicated a photo of himself as a kid sitting on the couch in a Man City jersey. Performance in the Premier League. The signing had made manager Pep Guardiola sell players like Gabriel Jesus and Alexander Zinchenko to Arsenal, led by former City assistant Mikel Arteta. Practically everyone had predicted Manchester City to cruise away with the Premier League title after signing Erling Haaland. And they started great when City won 7 of the last 9 games, as well as drawing twice. Haaland even became the fastest player ever to reach 20 goals in the Premier League, and it only took him 14 games, beating Kevin Phillips' old record by 7. Meanwhile, Arsenal had silently picked 3 points consistently every weekend, and even if Martin Ødegaard had played his best football ever and led his Arsenal team from win to win, the media focus was still on Erling's spectacular start to the campaign. However, when City suddenly started to drop points to Liverpool, Brentford, Everton, and recently Manchester United, Arsenal kept their good from going. Pundits and City fans have even started to discuss if the team is better without Haaland than with him. It doesn't really make things better that the former City players have performed well at Arsenal and had helped them get some space at the table so that teams could get behind them. But how bad has City performed with Haaland really? Well, at the time that this video was recorded, Manchester City won 2.17 points on average per game this Premier season. And if you compare that to their last title-winning seasons, it's not great. However, this is partly due to the fact that their spectacular performances were earlier, where they were finishing the season with more than 93 points 3 times. Also, Liverpool almost managed to get 100 points in their title-winning season recently, and if they kept up from the former 2.17 points on average per game, they'll end up with about 83 points, which in all fairness is a pretty good season. And it's just that winning that the Premier League demands, which is a nearly perfect season. Nevertheless, it's hard to place the average points on a new striker, so what about their goals scored? City have done a great deal in goal scoring sessions, with almost 100 goals scored in the Premier League on several occasions, and with Haaland in the team, City ended up scoring approximately 2.55 goals per game, and we also got to remember that his 3 hat tricks in a row at the home earlier this season. Plus, with these average numbers, they're well on their way to a grand season with 97 goals scored, which would be acceptable even by City standards. So maybe Haaland isn't the problem with City's attacking after all? In the meantime, Arsenal have managed to pick up around 2.61 points per game and scored on average 2.33 goals every week. And at the heart of this title-changing performance is Martin Ødegaard. He's already performed his best ever numbers at Arsenal halfway through the season. However, even if he started to produce goals as well as assists, his ability to get up others in goal-scoring situations has never been nothing but impressive. Earlier, many would state that Ødegaard was a sunshine player, never performing in difficult games, running for teammates, and scoring different kinds of goals. Nobody can claim that anymore. The Arsenal captain has contributed in many different ways and had stabilized Arsenal in a much different way than we've seen for more than 15 years. His performance alone at the end of 2022 had earned him the Player of the Month award for November and December. So far, Martin Ødegaard has seemed to lead his Arsenal team to a great season, and maybe the Premier League title to show for it. Even if almost everyone is expecting Erling Haaland to lift City to new heights, it might come to show that their problems lie elsewhere. Nevertheless, both the Norwegians will have a great season eventually to look back on when June arrives. Maybe they can even take Norway to their first international championship since 2000. Well, that's all for us, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please sure to make a subscription to the channel, give us a thumbs up if you liked it, and ding that notification bell so you don't miss any more content updates from us. Until next time, folks, we'll see you guys later.